You got an imposter as president put in there by people you don't even understand who they are. An imposter. It's like The Gardener with the movie The Gardener. They made him the president. Oh, he knows everything. Let's say he is the president. So what? That means he knows everything? How could he know everything? How could the man know economics when he never ran a hot dog stand? Let's start with the basics. The guy never ran a business. He never built a business. How can he know anything about business? How can he know anything about meeting a payroll, paying a tax? Nothing, but already he's the genius of everything. Fine, he's the president. So what does that make him, a genius in every field? So you say, all right, no president is an expert in every field. They surround themselves with advisors. So he surrounds himself with communist college professors who also never owned a business in their life. All they do is espouse communist philosophy day and night. That's what we have now in America. That's what we have now in America, an imposter in the White House, surrounded by communist imposters. So you want me to now spend my time talking about politics? You want me to talk about politics? A great American, Nancy Pelosi. How about that for famous Italian American? Nancy Pelosi, she'll go down in history as what? What is she famous for? For bankrupting America, treating it like a sporting goods store that's being busted out. Burlington, Vermont. Steve, go ahead, please. You're on the Savage Nation.
You know, Michael, you were just equating that Barack Obama wasn't qualified to be president because he never ran a hot dog stand. I don't ever remember Winston Churchill being in business at all. I don't remember George S. Patton being in business at all.
Steve, now I know you live in Vermont, and therefore I consider you handicapped, mentally handicapped, so I won't get angry. Your logic doesn't work at all because General Patton was a famous war hero from World War I. Prior to becoming a great hero in World War II. So where's the comparison?
Well, you're saying you got to run a business to be qualified to be president of the United States. None of these men were ever ran a business, and I'm assuming you thought they were...
Steve, I know that you're handicapped mentally. I know that. Because you've called a show, and I understand that you're medicated and that you have no logical capacity in your brain, so I'll be kind again. The point is that Obama has no experience doing anything. The point is you're making is a false point. You're saying Patton never ran the business. Nobody ran a great army. And prior to being a great army officer in World War II, he was a great army officer in World War I. He was commissioned in the Army in 1909. So you're not making any sense, Steve.
Hey, you know, there's a lot of people...
Steve, you're mentally deranged. I know that in Vermont it probably passes for keen logic, but it doesn't pass muster on the Savage Nation. Have a nice day. Thanks for trying. Why don't you take that by the grade school in your neighborhood, Little Red Schoolhouse, and try to run that one by the children? You hear the schmucks that call this show, what I got to put up with to make a living? I said Obama never ran a business. How could he know anything about the economy? That's a statement that makes sense to anybody who's run a business. So now the guy calls up and says, but Patton never ran a business either. There's no comparison between the two. He was commissioned in the Army in 1909. The guy was a warrior in World War I. In World War I, Patton was the first officer assigned to the new United States Tank Corps. He was a tank hero in World War I. He saw action in France. After World War I, he was a strong advocate of armored warfare. In World War II, he became a great tank warrior. He commanded both corps and armies as a general in North Africa, Sicily, and Europe. The fact of the matter is he had great experience prior to World War II. While Obama has no experience prior to becoming the president, let alone being given a Nobel Prize. Can't put two and two together. That's my opinion. It's one man's opinion. If you have an opinion that differs than mine, you can call like the guy Steve from Vermont. His logical faculties, if they ever existed, are no more. Why? Because he's been brainwashed by liberalism. He can't even make a simple jump in logic. He can't even put two and two together. If I say Obama is not qualified to handle the economy because he never ran a business, this guy Steve from Vermont calls and says, well, Patton never ran a business either. Does that make sense to you if you have a logical capacity? No, it makes no sense. Because the reason Patton was a competent general and was made a general in World War II is because he was an extremely competent army officer in World War I. You can't tell me Obama was made into a general, made president because he had such a distinguished career as a U.S. senator. I mean, he achieved so many things as U.S. senator. Can you name one? When he was president at all, nobody knows what he voted for. But that, I guess, qualified him to be president. And, of course, since he did nothing as president, that qualified him for a Nobel Prize in nothingness but grandiosity. At least it's one man's opinion.
Savage.